Hey, how's it going, folks? My name is Matthew, aka EZBOT, and we're back with another live stream. Today we're going to have a focus on the Elektron Syntakt. The Syntakt is one of my absolute favorite synthesizers of all time at this point. I think my love for it has grown very deep compared to the other synthesizers that I currently own, and a lot of that has to do with the workflow on it and using the Elektron sequencer and knowing my way around the LFOs and how quickly I can get a patch that's in my head right onto the synthesizer itself and into my music production. So today I'm going to kind of go through some of my workflow with the Syntakt. I am going to be pairing it with all my other instruments, so this isn't like a Syntakt dedicated stream. We're going to talk about using it with other pieces of kit, but I'm going to make a couple patches from scratch on the Syntakt, some of my, like go-to sounds that I like, and just kind of see where it goes from there. I'm working on some new music because, as I said maybe a couple weeks ago, if you're familiar with these streams, I wiped all my music clean. I've been starting from scratch, so I've finished one song, and now I'm working on a second song for my new set that I'll be performing for the next couple of months, starting March, because I have a couple shows in March. So I need to get a lot of music together, and I don't have very much music together right now. So that's what I'm working on. Before we get too deep into it, check this out and remember this on time. Today's stream is, of course, sponsored by DistroKid. Thank you, DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution platform with a whole bunch of other fantastic perks that you'll find if you join their subscription service and start using them to get your music distributed to all streaming platforms, among other things like making videos and promo and all sorts of other great stuff. So we'll talk a little bit more about DistroKid later on in the stream. But let's just jump over to the music production side of things. Here we are. We're checking it out. We got the Octatrack. We have currently using my newest performance template that I designed. Currently using the Octatrack, but using the Octatrack in a way that that is really fun for experimentation in a live performance setting. Pretty much in general. I mean, you might not find yourself recording as much of what you do with some of the aspects of this performance mixer template because they're very, I don't know. It can be a little wild, let's put it that way. But you can really hone it once you get familiar with it. I'm still learning it myself because it's just a concept, and then you have to learn how to use the concept. So we'll dive into that a little bit. We've done that on a couple streams already, so that isn't the main focus of this. The main focus of the stream is synthesis with the Syntakt and just music production in general. I'm about to give you a little bit of a taste of where we're going today, which for me, when I start making sounds that start on the Syntakt, they go two different directions pretty much exclusively. They either go towards a very ambient workflow, which is great, and I'm all for, because the Syntakt does ambient stuff really well. The reverb and the delay in the newer Elektron devices are top notch. They sound fantastic. And I think that they do a great job, as good of a job as one of my guitar pedals. Let's put it that way. I think they get the job done. The other direction that it goes is a more industrial sound. And that's what I tend to make the most when I start with the Syntakt, and I start on the DUAL VCO engine, for instance. I find myself making very industrial sounds. And that's where we're at today. So if that's your bag, that's what we're about to do. We're going to make some gnarly sounds in the Syntakt. We are going to make a couple patches that I usually make on my Prophet 5. They're really simple patches, but if you're not familiar with synthesis or the Syntakt, then this is going to be a cool stream, I hope, for you to learn a little bit about how to wrangle some sounds in your Syntakt. What's going on, folks? Thanks for hanging out and joining. What up, Blake, Nyanko, and Toby? What's going on, folks? Good to see you, Tamberwolf. Right on, right on. The Kraft cheese commercial has me hungry. Was there a Kraft cheese commercial? What? Syntakt is your main synth. Love the machine. Waiting for the plus effects. Should arrive in 2 days. The Syntakt plus the analog heat plus effects is a super combo. There's no doubt. I really like the idea of cutting my system down to the smaller setup because it allowed me to invite other pieces of gear. As you can see, my OP1 field has returned from the grave. So I sent it off to Sweden to get repaired. It was very expensive. I wasn't very happy about that. My microphone on the OP1 busted, and that was a bummer, right? Anyway, it cost me over $100 to get it repaired. And but it's back and it's working again. It's doing what it does best, which is sampling, and that's pretty much what I use it for. I like run over to another synthesizer and I sample onto the OP1 and then I turn it into a polyphonic synth. Something I was doing with the Vectra over here by Future Retro, which we'll be talking about later next week. But yeah, let's get back in the Syntakt. Let me give you a little taste of what's going on musically really quick. Maybe I could even take some sounds out. I don't really have that many sounds built into this track yet, so maybe that's not a good idea. Let's just go right into it. I'm just going to hit play. Or we could play with one of these filters first. Let's see what happens here. What is this? Where are we? We're on build, scene 7, chorus plus half note looper. That's not what we want. Let's try this filter. Okay. We are missing a sound in there. And I think it has to do with, if I hit function no, what will happen here? These are the sounds that the Syntakt like makes so well. They're just, it does these sounds perfectly in my opinion. This is the DUAL VCO. This is stuff you can do with your rhythm. Like most of these sounds are coming from the DUAL VCO. And something I want to point out with your sound design, if you have something like the Syntakt that has so many tracks and it offers so much synthesis variations, like it has so many different sound engines for making melodic stuff. So we have 5 digital. We have five digital synth engines on the Syntakt, and then we have 2 analog synth engines. And the DUAL VCO and the raw synth engine are fantastic basic analog synthesizer engines, especially the DUAL VCO. Raw is really great for getting the job done for some simple basic patches, even though it does have the ring modulator in it as well. Which I'm not sure why they included the ring modulator in the raw synth, because that's so DUAL VCO of... Anyway, the DUAL VCO has so much ring modulation in it. But then we have the DUAL VCO, which has FM synced, it has FM on it. It has synced FM. It has ring modulation. It has synced ring modulation. And then you can mix between and blend between those 2 concepts, kind of. You can mix and blend between the 2 oscillators. And you can have it be frequency modulated and ring modulated at the same time. So there's just a whole lot. What's this doing? Get out of here. Going on when it comes to the analog synth engine. The DUAL VCO, sorry. This is live, so I can just completely flub all my words if I want, and they'll be forever engraved in the internet. But the DUAL VCO, I think, is the shining light in the Syntakt and in the rhythm when it comes to making these really dirty, gnarly sounds. You can get some cool, gnarly stuff out of the digital engine, but nothing like you can get out of the DUAL VCO. And one of the things that I really like to do with the DUAL VCO, and that I did in this, like, let's just remove the Syntakt from here and remove this lead line and this. So we're just going to start with this first engine. This is the DUAL VCO engine, right? And I'm using frequency modulation plus ring modulation. As you might be able to see that there's no little dot at the end of my waveforms. That means they're not, the oscillators aren't being synced to each other, so they're not getting a phase reset. And if I hold this down, it'll give you some of the parameters. We're slightly detuned off of 7 semitones down on one of the oscillators, so a 5th down, and a little bit of the mix. What I have going on over here is, and this is an LFO shape that I use constantly because it pairs so well with the retrig function on the Elektron boxes in general. So this is something I use on the Digatone, on the Digitact, on the Syntakt, and on the Octatrack, but not so much on the Octatrack, because the Octatrack LFO is kind of a pain in the ass. Mostly because we get 3 of them, and yeah, that's great that we get 3 LFOs, but the problem with the Octatrack LFO is that we don't get them on a per step basis. We just get speed and depth on a per step basis. I can't change the retrig value on a per step basis, and that sucks, because if I want on the Syntakt, I can have my, like these yellow steps here, they don't have any retrig in the trig menu. As you can see, that the trig is turned off, meaning that if I have my LFO begin its phase from here, it's ramping upwards at 1x the BPM. It's going to stretch across the ramp across all these steps, and we're moving at half speed. So this is a pretty long step right here. I was like trying to do math in my head really fast, but it doesn't matter. The math doesn't matter. I'm moving at half speed right here, so these notes are really long, and I have a ramp going up, adjusting the synth balance, which has a huge effect on the DUAL VCO, and it sounds like this. So here's it just still without the modulation happening from the sequencer. So that's what the LFO is doing. It's blending between these two oscillators, right? It's mixing the two oscillators together, which is increasing more FM and more ring modulation. And you can hear it, it's really nasty. When I have that running with the sequencer, which has a bunch of other stuff happening here, what's happening across the sequencer, this is gonna be a little jumbled here. What's happening across the sequencer, and this has to do with the LFO too, is that every one of these steps is adjusting the configurator for my synth patch in the DUAL VCO. This, coupled with a ramp that's going up across my sequencer, is having dramatic effects, and it's very rhythmic, because every one of these engines has a different response to the synth balance. So as I'm moving through different engines and changing the synth balance, we're getting, on a per step basis, we're getting these dramatic changes throughout our sequence, only using these couple notes. Like, this is a really simple sequence, but listen to the sequence when the synthesizers, or when the sequencer is running. Listen to how the synth sounds. It's just these 2 notes. So you can hear how crazy that's getting, and it sounds very rhythmic. And the rhythm that's being introduced is because of the configurator changing. So what I did is I went function yes, and then I did a record plus play. So I did a live record, and I start playing with the configurator in combo with this LFO set to go up to its max value at the end of these 8 steps here. And these are all 8th notes right now, because of the way that I have my pattern scaling set up. So this little combo is making this very, very rhythmic industrial sound. And when we put it all together, right? Sounds cool. So something I wanted to talk about as well with the Syntakt, particularly, it could be with the Digatone too, but with the Syntakt, is I know that we think of the Syntakt as a monophonic instrument, right? Because it is a monophonic synthesizer. It's not a polysynth. It does have the chord synth engine. We know that. We appreciate the chord synth engine for what it does, but it doesn't do what we want it to do, right? It's a very basic paraphonic wavetable-esque sound, and it doesn't do the trick. But we have a lot of tracks. We have a ton of tracks, and if we can get out of our heads to stop viewing the tracks as like opportunities to create a bunch of different sequences, like to have like, I want a sequence here, a sequence here, a sequence here, all making all these different sounds. If we stop thinking of it that way and start thinking of our tracks as layers, and then thinking about synthesis, go back to your Serum tutorials that you love to watch. Go back to your Ableton synth tutorials and think about how people are layering their sounds in their DAW. Take all these ideas from DAWs, bring them over here. If it's not fun to be on your computer making music production, do those ideas on your hardware, right? So that's what I did here. What we did is we took this patch. I was doing something with the LFO. Here's what the LFO on the volume is with the square wave at 16x multiplier and the speed at 48. So dotted eighth note for the speed at 16x multiplier. And I was playing with this idea too. Ultimately, I went away from that. But anyway, back to what I was just talking about. I know, it's hard for me to stay on course. I get excited about little things and I go off on a tangent. What I'm talking about with layers, like what we're doing like with a classic Serum tutorial patch of how to make like a fat bass synthesizer or whatever, layering your sounds. What I did is I copied this synthesizer patch that I made. I went copy, track plus record, copy. I go over to this track, track plus paste, and I paste the sound onto this track. Then I go back over and I record the sequence. I copy the sequence, I go over here and I paste that sequence. And then I go into the synth engine and I start adjusting it to fit in with the other synthesizer. What I wanted and what the Syntakt is missing, big time, is stereo width. You know, that's the thing that we're dying for, right? And this song was kind of inspired by me just being on YouTube, or the sounds that I'm working with were inspired by me cruising through YouTube. And somebody's YouTube short was this cool tutorial on how to make this fat bass sound using Serum. That's why I keep mentioning Serum. So the cat's out of the bag. I was looking at Serum stuff. I don't use Serum and I don't really make that much music on my computer much anymore. So I still watch a lot of tutorials on it because that's where all the cool synthesis tutorials are coming from, is from people making stuff on their computer. And I just try and see what they do and see if I can bring it over to my Elektron gear. But anyhow, I got inspired by this really fat bass sound this guy was making. So I took the top end of this synth line over here, and let's just mute this, and we'll hear what I did over here, and you can hear how wide this sound is. Hear that in your ears? If you have headphones on, you can really hear this. It's the top of it. Actually sounds cool on its own. Yeah, breakdown section, that's a good idea. I mean, we're not gonna sit on this patch all day, but I just wanted to point these ideas out. These are like my go-to ideas when I'm starting with the Syntakt and I wanna make some really big sounds. I head over to the DUAL VCO, and I do a lot of record plus play turning knobs with a pre-saved, a pattern save state in here, and I just keep reverting back until I find something that I like. And on some of these triggers, you could hear that there's like some notes happening. It's just at the very last 2 eighth notes that are over here. I'm just holding them down and I'm going in and adjusting it until this matched the tune of the song. And because there's so much ring modulation and frequency modulation going, only a few notes actually work. So like even staying in the scale doesn't work because it's creating so many overtones that are out of the key. That I kind of had to just dial it in until I hit a sweet spot. So there's a couple sweet spots. Some of those sounds are definitely not in tune. You can hear it. That right there. You can hear how wide that sound is. That's kind of what I was getting at. That sound is so wide because I used... Let me go over to that patch. Getting phone calls today. Don't people know that we hate phone calls now? Like, that's not a part of our lives anymore. I went over to this patch, and I just have my amp pan turned up. I'm using a 1000 multiplier of the BPM, so we're doing audio rate modulation on the amp pan, but I'm not going full bore on it. Like, I'm not going 100% to to its full depth because it sounds like crap. When you go audio rate on panning modulation, it's basically the same as doing audio rate on amplitude modulation. So amplitude modulation will create a lot of harmonic tones to it. It kind of creates distortion, right? Octatrack has amplitude modulation in the lo-fi effect. If you're familiar with that, that's what you're doing, right? That's the same idea. You do it at audio rate, and it's going to start distorting in a nice way, a pleasing way often. But you don't want to do it too much if you want to be subtle about it. So I took the high end, I filtered out just the section that I like from this original patch. This one here. It's the same patch. Over here, I used a bandpass filter, and I just found the section I liked. I was like, ooh, that's the perfect fit for it. So I bandpassed it out, and then I did some amplitude modulation to make it really wide and fill our ears up, but it's just on the top end, which is where you really notice the stereo width anyway, right? We don't need a huge stereo width on the low end. Low end stereo width can sound bad. That's why we mono our kicks and snares often. Some snares wide sounds pretty good, but kicks, they don't sound great really wide. They sound good mono. And so the same thing kind of applies with your bass lines, right? We don't want to have the low end be so wide in a bass line, but the top end of a bass line sounds really good. So this is a great trick to making a bass line sound really full, is to just use some panning modulation on a isolated segment of that synth patch and just add it on top of it. So that's the first patch idea that we're talking about today. Now let's check in with the chat and see if anybody had something to say, because maybe I tripped over my words and sounded like a fool. Who knows? But also to say what's up to folks. How is it going, everybody? Yes, Team DUAL VCO. What's up, Kinga? Hi, I'm glad to actually be able to catch a live stream for once. Right on, right on. Still don't find that 2-operator FM on the Syntakt compares to the 4-operator digatone plus chorus. That's a great point. Tamperwolf makes a good point, and you're right. I can't do that, right? Because I took the digatone out of the mix, and I don't foresee me bringing the digatone back into my production workflow anytime soon, to be honest. I really like the digatone, and I think what I kind of want to do with it is pair it with something like Microcosm or Mood Mark II, or just run it into the Octacosm thing that I made on the Octatrack, which I am actually getting back to work on again, because I kind of decided that I really do want to finish it sooner than later. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that much, but that's what I think about with the digatone, is using it as a classic synthesizer and just processing it through some of my favorite ambient sounds, because it makes ambient sounds really well. It does do some really crazy distortion stuff as well. Also, the OT does not have LFO fade. That's a really good point, Kinga. The LFO fade in the Diggy boxes is this menu right here, and this is a attack release envelope that you get over the actual LFO modulation source. So you could have the LFO fade in from here, or you can have the LFO fade out from here. And that's a really cool feature. We don't have that on the Octatrack. I mean, everything about these boxes is more advanced than the Octatrack's functionality. It's just or I guess if we were to do a comparison of if it has the same function, right? LFO versus this LFO, sample playback pitch versus sample playback pitch, stuff like that. These boxes kind of like kick the butt of the Octatrack. I think having a Syntakt and a Digact seems much more powerful than having a rhythm. I couldn't agree more. I think it's 10,000 times more powerful than just having a rhythm. What is the gear under the DT in the Syntakt? Sorry, just arrived. Francis. This is the OMX27. So this is my keyboard. I always have this set up in a what am I trying to... Why am I blanking on that thought? I have it set up on the auto channel. I'm sorry. I have this keyboard always set up on my auto channel. So all I have to do is select, I can push down on this and go to channel 15, and now I'm controlling the dig attack. Any patch that I select. right? And if I go back here to number 16, I'm now playing the Syntakt. Also, any track I select. I mean, those are the sounds I love right there. Okay, so we've talked quite a bit about, we've compared a bit of the Octatrack, we've talked about the Digatone, we talked about the Syntakt. Let's make a new patch on the Syntakt. And what I want to do for this patch, the sound that I want to add to this is like some Boards of Canada type, really slow moving, out of sync LFO, you know, that eerie synth patch, because that's gonna fit the mood of this song. All right, so we're gonna mute these guys. You can hear what's going on the Digatakt. We do have a patch going that is using the slice machine. I think it turned out pretty good. I actually initially started this by using the random locks feature, you know, just hitting yes and going create random locks. And I went from the random locks and then started editing and finding some sweet spots. But it mostly, like 70% of it was, I was like, yo, that sounds great. Great job, Digatakt, doing all the heavy lifting for me. Okay, so enough about that. Let's go over here. We're gonna use track 11, and we're gonna actually switch over from the DUAL VCO to SciRaw, and we'll get into the digital engines and do some stuff. We'll maybe play with the chord engine a little bit, because I do have some ideas on cool stuff you can do with the chord engine, not using it with chords, but using it as like just a really fat sounding lead or bass sound, because it can get into some really gnarly territory as well. But over here, we're gonna switch to 2 sawtooths. And I'm going to get rid of all the noise. Even though the noise could sound kind of good, maybe we'll just leave it at a really low depth for the noise. And we're going to bring them both to the same tune for now, but I am good. And then from here, I'm going to bring this down to -7, which I believe is what it was at. But we're going to bring this sound down a little bit and slightly detune them. Oh, that was too much detune. A little detune so that there's some beating with the frequencies. I'm going to go to my LFO section, and we are going to assign the LFO to the tune, the synth tune, the overall tune, and we want it to be a free-running LFO. So far, this is what we have. Maybe I don't want that noise. Pretty basic sounding patch. As soon as we get this LFO modulating the tune very slowly, it's going to sound much better. So I'm going to use the triangle instead of the sine wave. It really doesn't matter that much. I guess maybe with the sine wave, it would probably sound a little bit more dystopian or a little weirder, because it won't ever have this peak that it hits and then just comes right down. It'll be, I don't know, just a smoother curve. So maybe we could stick with the sine wave and just see what happens. We don't want to use the mode anything other than the free running mode for this particular patch, because we want it to sound different throughout the LFO all the time. So if I was to go down to this next one, TRIG, which is the one I typically use, TRIG will reset the LFO phase on every single trig. So every time I hit a key on here, it's going to reset the LFO phase back to the beginning of this circle or sine. So now we're going to go with a little bit of depth. A very small amount of depth goes a long, long way on the tune. Anything above about 0.3 is just going to take it out of key, and it's going to sound bad. So I want to be below 0.3 to have it sound decent. And we want it to move pretty slowly. Let's see how it sounds with the 2x multiplier on the BPM with LFO at 48, which is a dotted eighth note typically in all of Elektron talk. So let's hear it. It's moving so slow that we're hearing it go out of tune, so maybe we want to pick up the speed. That's just about the right amount of out of tune, so I think we're pretty good here. Now, what's fun is that we can play with the filters quite a bit. We could either just stick with the low pass filter. You can't use too much resonance on the analog side because the analog filter in here is originally a filter for making drums. So they have these incredibly resonant filters in the Syntakt from the rhythm, which also didn't start with the DUAL VCO either. So their filter choices that Elektron made were for drums, and really resonant filters are great for making drums because you can use those filter peaks to like create these nice transients in your drum sounds, you know, or just overall create kind of an oscillator sound, or not an oscillator sound. I know why I'm talking like that, but you can use your resonance to shape your sound more so for drums than you would maybe for a synth sound if you have a lot of resonance. That's what I'm getting at. So we could start with this low pass filter. Now, without using the envelope, it actually sounds pretty nice, but if we did a negative envelope depth and kind of added some attack, oh, there we go. So we're in a really nice spot right now, and all we need to do now is add some reverb to it, and we kind of get this nice Boards of Canada patch. Right? A little attack on our amplitude. We could turn on the filter reset if we want. Maybe a little delay. I think that sounds great. Like, I think that is just a really good sounding patch. I make it pretty often. I feel like this is a sound that I gravitate towards often. Sorry if I haven't been super eloquent today. I'm also trying to avoid saying the word super. I feel like my generation uses the word super to describe everything. We say super cool a lot. You know what I'm talking about? You probably say super cool all the time. And it's not as cool as we think it is to say super cool all the time. But that's our adjective. Super. Super sucks. Boomer. What up, Ray? Don't call me I'm not a boomer. I am super stoked. All right. All right, fine. I asked for that. Okay. I think this is a good patch. We could save this. I already do have a patch that's very similar to this already saved in here. But we can hear how it sounds. Let's go up an octave. On top of what we have in our song. Maybe some distortion. Okay, I think it sounds pretty cool. I think that this sound is too thick to layer on top of what we have here. I think both these sounds, like there's not enough space for them in the frequency spectrum. So the sound is good for this track, but not good for this part of the track. I think it would sound better in maybe the next section, which I haven't decided what that is yet. I kind of want there to be some sort of juxtaposition to what we have right now. I want it to be very different when I go to the next part, as opposed to me just like copying the patterns, which we can do, just kind of get started. Go to the next pattern. And actually, let's go back over here and paste. Copy that. Let's go here, paste that. And then we paste. We paste. Right? So like the go-to, I think that my go-to, and I think a lot of people's go-to here would be to just copy, paste your patterns, and then maybe change the drums, right? And just get away from where we are. And we are gonna do something similar to that, but I think we need to adjust even more than that. I think that maybe we could turn this bass line into something else and low pass it and kind of go to more of a plucky type sound. Let's see what happens. Let's mute that and that. Okay, let's try giving this some retrigger. See how that goes. Want that to be for pretty long. Let's go 32. Is that going too fast? We want eighth notes. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Let's see. Maybe if we bring it up an octave or something. Oh, this is sounding kind of dubsteppy. Maybe we don't do that. What if it didn't retrig for so long, but we kept it doing that? 16. That's actually kind of cool. Maybe this is a good alternate idea for the pattern, using these retrigs. I guess we could just copy this. It's the same note. Just go like this. Add reverb on these last steps here. Wait, what? Some goat screams for good measure. B section, drums muted, bass line down, a major third low pass. What's up, Harry? Harry's always got some good ideas. Should we try Harry's idea? Should we take the bass line down a major third? Try it. Let's see. Does it let us just jump by a major third? It doesn't. Let's see. I do like the idea of this being the B section, like what Michael said in the chat. But we are still on, we're on pattern 1. We don't want to mess with pattern 1 too much. So let's leave pattern 1 the way it's supposed to be, which is like this. Let's go to pattern 2. I'm not sure I really like that. Let's steal this again. Go back here. Paste it. Okay, and now let's mess with this. So, what is it? Where is it in my head that this is going? Da 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 da. Oh yeah, I remember what I wanted to do. So I was hearing, if we use the beat repeat really quick, we can kind of get an idea of what I have in my head. Let's go. Okay, so what I kind of want to do is like take the first little section. We're on, is it this one? Okay. Get this filter out of here. What's up with that? We're going to take these notes right here and copy them, and we're just going to use them over and over again and then adjust the pitch a little bit. I just want to see what happens. You're all hanging out with me on an experiment here. Paste, 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 paste. Maybe it's not fast enough. I think maybe it's in between here. Okay. do like how that sounds. Okay. Let's play over here for a second. We'll save it. Temporary save. Delete. And then we'll leave that doing its thing. Wasn't expecting that to be recording. I think something like that could sound cool. I think we're gonna have to do something about this, though. This can't be... Oh no, that is fine. Okay, that is fine. Maybe I just screwed it up. Whoops. Undo that. Yeah. God damn it. Oh, is my snare only 1 page long? No wonder this is recording so whack. Okay. Okay, let's just do it one more time. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. We do have some swing already. Do we have a swing on here? I realized we might have missed the swing on here, too. I was on record quantized. I think we wanted to record that unquantized because those are like too perfect sounding to me. I don't know. What do you folks think? The drums are like having a drummer playing the ride of both the verse and the hook. Try side stick. Nice. You don't trust your bass line. Melody line is sick. Oh, thank you. Diggy Goat is goated. I second the lack of goatness. What is happening? This is the song they play as the hacker sits in the dark room and drains everyone's retirement funds. Comment of the day. Perhaps year. I'd buy up some EZBOT Syntakt presets. I actually am working on a Syntakt pack of sounds. They're all gonna sound pretty similar to this because these are the ones that I like doing. Start with any, sell it. Buy another, sell it. Buy a different brand, sell it. Realize you were never a musician. What? Tempo 113.6? What? This chat section's out of control today. Y'all going crazy. All right, let's go back to pattern. Let's go back to this pattern here. I want to hear how it sounds when I change. Can't have the same melody. God damn it. I don't think I like that. I don't think I like those double kicks. I think there's something off about that, even though I feel like I played it right. Let me try it again. We could try doing a little more straight beat since we're coming from this. We could start going like down, down, down. What if we did something like that? If we did something like this. Oh no, not in there. Ugh. Actually, that could sound pretty good. Let's try that. Ugh. Just the kick on the one sounds pretty good, honestly. What if we start with a simple beat here? Let's get some like faster hats going really quick, just to give me something to play with here. You want to hear some trap hats? Hey. That's so goofy. We could sidechain these hats. That might sound kind of cool. On half scale? Okay, okay. I know we're getting bored of hearing the same sound. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is what it is. I think we'll go. Let's hear. Let's go to this patch. Let's just mute this for now. I feel like we got somewhere. Damn it. I like starting with this note here. That could have been cooler than it is.
What is happening here? What is it? There's something happening here. Are these tempos the same? Maybe they're... Maybe the first one shouldn't even have it. That sounds kind of cool to me. Let me see. Oh, sick. That's what I'm talking about. Now we're getting somewhere cool. I feel like when we move into the second part of the pattern that maybe the kick needs to start later. There's something happening in my mind that the kick patterns they're not lining up perfectly. Just let it play through. We'll figure it out. We're going like kind of a drum and bass pattern here, a little bit. But not quite, not twos and fours, but we could try the drum and bass pattern. We could put an almond break in, like Ray is saying. We do already have a break here. Why does that sound so absolutely insane? What's happening? That sounds bananas. What? What happened? Start with this. For us to actually use an almond, I'm gonna have to repitch it, change the tempo. Like, it's gonna be a whole process. That's the problem with that. Those aren't break beats. Where are my actual breakbeats? That's a pretty cool sounding break right there. But I don't know. I don't know if a break would do it. I do want to hear, like... Let's try... Boring experiment? What's a boring experiment? Dang, I don't know the Universal Audio made games. What? Must have prayed enough. Reminds me of the Bruce Goatstein track. We got a lot of goat chat going on here. Goat chat. What's up with goat chat? Look what I'm rocking. The Ricky Tinez coffee mug. I'm gonna pour it all over these machines right in front of you. It's an Americano. Because they're cheap and efficient. Americanos are very efficient. Experiment with 1713. What are you guys doing with all these numbers? Okay, you want to hear 1713? I actually do like that. We do like what... I don't know how to say your name. I don't know. But I do like 1713. Ray 1712. Want to hear 1712? I guess we could do that on like this one, or 1711 might be good. I like that. I do like the goal that I had in my mind was to make some really dark stuff on the Syntakt, and then to have these two patterns feel like that there was a nice juxtaposition between the two patterns, that there was some very, like a strong change of energy. And I do feel like we accomplished that goal. Like the original pattern, the opening pattern is a really strong pattern, I think. And it sounds good to return to this pattern from this pattern. So maybe we start here. We go into this pattern. We used our Boards of Canada patch, but we brought in the fifth a little stronger on the chord note. I don't know about that. Ghost note on the 12. Ghost note here. I don't hear 12. I hear 11. I don't hear the 12. Good try. All right, let's go. Let's do the breakdown pattern, which is going to be this pattern. We're going to steal from this pattern. Copy, copy, copy. Pattern 9. Yeah. Paste, paste, paste. We're going to kill the bass and this and... Let's check out the chords then. Let's do it here, I guess. like that. It's really kind of housey. I'm gonna play with that. I'm gonna play with it because I like it, and that's all there is to it. Like that. All right, now let's play with that LFO trig here. So we're going to turn off the LFO to trig here, and we are going to play with the ramp LFO. Let's start with this, and we'll do 16, but 16, 16, trig, and let's have it mess with the wave, I think. Yeah. And then we'll put a trig on here, and a trig on here, and just see how this sounds. Whoa! Now we're in the breakdown. I dig the breakdown. Let's go over here and change this synth engine sound. Maybe just go the raw. Sorry. Just vibing super hard right now. You want to talk about this really quick? All right. Okay, here's how it's going. Here's how the routing goes, okay? Underneath the Octatrack is this damn thing. Underneath the Octatrack is a bunch of stuff, okay? There's a MIDI merger under there with an RK MIDI converter thing. That doesn't matter, but the MIDI merger matters. The MIDI merger is underneath there, and what's happening is that this cable here, this 3.5 stereo cable, it's like way too thick of a cable, I should get a different one, it's running into the MIDI merger, and the Octatrack's clock and transport output is going also into the MIDI merger, and both those things are running into my DIGATACT, into the MIDI input on my DIGATACT, getting clock from the Octatrack, and auto channel control, keyboard control with scales. This has scales, so I just set this, like it lets me play out of scale too. It lets me play chromatically, but it highlights notes from the scale I'm working in. It's actually not in the correct scale right now. We're missing a sharp, I believe, but it's close enough. I don't need to adjust it. Anyhow, this is coming into the DIGATACT, and then through the MIDI through, the clock and this keyboard is also going to the Syntakt, and to any other device through this MIDI through to whatever other machine I have on the table. Currently, the Future Retro Vectra. So I can control the Vectra with this, I can sequence the Vectra with this, I can write in my sequences with this, and I find this to be a really convenient way to play notes as opposed to this keyboard, because I have my accidentals in there, right? I have my notes that are out of my key, and I think that's incredibly helpful. Does that help? Thanks for subscribing. Harmony. Oh, an Elektron OG SID station? Judging by the cables underneath, yes. Underneath the Modbang riser. Thanks to my homies here pointing out all of the things I sell. Yeah. Yes, this Octatrack stand right here is something that I print with a couple of high quality 3D printers that I have, and actually I have 4 of them. They're enormous, but I make these stands. I make a whole bunch of different stands for Elektron boxes and some roll-in stuff as well. But yeah, you can stuff things underneath your boxes this way, so you can fit more on the table, and they break down. They're just 2 little thumb screws. Actually, the thumb screws that they come with, I also designed. Can you believe I designed a thumb screw? They're a lot like the knurly thumb screw, because there's not really, you can't really get too creative with a thumb screw. It's like, you know, you want it to be able to be usable with your thumb, but so it's similar to the knurly thumb screw, but I did draw it out and then have it manufactured, and that's what they come with, is my screws that I had designed, which is silly. I spent a lot of money making screws. It's a silly thing to do. All right, let's hear how these 3 patterns sound together. Here we go into the next pattern. I mean, this is bare bones. Bare bones. It needs a lot more percussion, I think. I don't know how I feel about this hat either. Like, this sounds fine to me. Let's see how this pattern sounds. This is my favorite part now. Yeah. I like this. This is my favorite one. AK-10. That's okay. It can. The OT can literally sit on, like, right up against them with the stands. We definitely need to work on the percussion here, but today we're talking about Syntakt, so I'll dig into this and get this ready later and share it with you next week. Nope. Right. Should we hear what this sounds like if we remix it? Actually, it's actually easier if I say yes. What? A little loud. Oops. I feel like this pattern right here, and I know it's not everybody's favorite, even though it is mine, is one that I could sit on for quite a while and just keep adding and adding and adding. Like this pattern could play for like 16 to 32 bars before it got really old. And I could just keep adding melody and percussion on top of it. Whereas like this pattern feels like it needs to be like kind of short, or I need to take some sounds out. Maybe even change the kick drum, perhaps. Build up. This one's just like so different from everything else, but it fits so well in the mix. When we go back to the big opener pattern, okay, let's talk about this for a second. So this crazy sound that we're getting, we're using the unison setting with the chord synth instead of using the actual, one of the chord options that you have. And when you play with the unison, let's just save this. I don't want to lose the pattern state. Actually, let's just save the whole thing before I forget. When you use the balance and you're set on unison, it just detunes all the different oscillators that it has in it. And on its max value, I think it does like a third or something, a third or a fourth. So you can get a lot of leverage out of this. Got like a reggae, like upstroke vibe to it. Do 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 do. Oh no! Oh yeah. See what happens, I don't know. There we go. My dog is going insane. Not so much reverb, too much reverb on my voice. We got too much reverb on the voice. We got too much reverb. We could run it through some OP1 effects. OP1. Sounding crazy to me. Taking that shit to the nutty zone. Drinking that shit to the nutty zone. Yeah. What? That sounds insane. Actually, we could try. All right, let's bring that down. A little bit of attack, a little bit of release, get those pops out of there. Or no, let's just find that spot. Get out of here. Yeah. Longing for that snare any moment. Maybe not. Wait, are you saying you're longing for a snare in this pattern? Like we're waiting for the... What are we waiting for? Just something on the 5 and 13? Ugh. Yeah, I don't know about that. Come back to that idea later. All right, let's get back to wait. Before I forget, because I'm such an amazing sponsored YouTube person, let me do my sponsorship with YouTube. Bear with me, it only takes a minute, and it's usually pretty cool, so let's check it out really fast. Ta-da! Let's talk about DistroKid for a sec, because DistroKid's great, and they sponsor these streams and they make this possible. They make all of our dreams come true. So if you don't know what DistroKid is a distribution platform for getting your music and music videos, which is what we're going to talk about today, music videos out to all the different streaming services. And what's special about DistroVid, even though it costs more, you know, it's $100. I think it's worth it if you're, if you're a serious artist. I don't think these numbers are that big for you, because this is like your dream, right? So what's great about DistroVid is that you can just upload your videos and it's with your music, and it will get those videos out to Apple Music and out to TikTok Music and Vivo and Tidal. So every time they use those apps, your videos will show up there. And that's special because actually uploading that individually every single time yourself is a total pain in the ass. Like it's a horrible experience. Going on trying to get your stuff working on Apple Music isn't fun. Having a distribution platform do it for you, that's great. So I love that idea. And I'm glad that they offer this service. Here's a little example of it. This is what it would look like. This is a YouTube little clip, but it's so simple to get started with it. Here's some like general questions about it, because I've been looking into it and I want to sync some of my
music to video and get it on Spotify and Apple Music, and because I think that would be really cool. But yeah, it kind of points that out. So this is the same thing I just mentioned. Yeah, you need to get DistroVid if you want to get your videos on Apple Music, Tidal, and TikTok and Vivo. I don't know about Vivo. I don't really care for Vivo, but at least TikTok Music, Tidal, and Apple Music, I think that there's a big advantage there. So yeah, these are very honest, honest promotions for DistroKid. We love DistroKid. They're local, or some of the employees are local here in Seattle, and I have had the honor of meeting them, and they come to the Modbang events, so that's great. So support DistroKid and support DistroVid and get your music synced up with some video, and it'll draw way more listens. 100%. I always pay closer attention to music that is synced with video. I think that that's just the way our brains work. That was our sponsorship. Isn't that lovely? How's everybody doing? I know I got lost in the music production for a long time. There wasn't too much distribution, daddy, distro goat. It's good having you here, Ray. Wait, so what does it do again? The DistroKid? DistroVid? So you can upload your videos to DistroVid, and so when somebody listens to your song, if there's music that would be synced with video, it would be synced with video on those platforms. So have you ever been on Spotify and seen somebody with a music video? Like behind their artists, there's like videos behind the artists. That's what it does. Yeah. Yeah, hey DistroKid, hire me. Yeah, you should. You should apply to DistroKid. That'd be a really great place to work. I'm digging what I did with the vocals on this one. I love where this song took like a really weird turn from this like really dark vibe. To this. Then we add those vocals. It's just so different from this. But they work. They work together. They do work. And this is all thanks to the Syntakt, because the Syntakt is what's making these vibes. You know what? I do private lessons on all this gear if you're interested in doing some private lessons with me. And I was talking to somebody I was working with yesterday, and we were talking about how we have all this modular equipment, and like I have more modular than I know what to do with. I don't know what to do with it at all, and I know how to use it, and I still don't know what to do with it, or some of it I don't know how to use. I mean, I can't say I know how to use all the modular I've bought, because a lot of it's like a deep dive and I haven't taken the time to learn it. And maybe that's part of my problem, is that I haven't taken the time to learn every module I've purchased, because I get too excited and just buy stuff that looks cool. I don't know. I think we're all guilty of that a little bit. But there's something really nice about working in the box format here, right? Like working in the Syntakt, it forces me to pay really close attention to the sounds that I'm designing. And I really like that experience, because I feel like I accomplish my goals. Like I feel like I accomplish my music goals because I'm paying close attention to the synthesis that's in here. Do you know what I mean? The FOMO the FOMO is very real. The FOMO is very real with me. And I'm not in FOMO land right now. Like I'm just enjoying synthesis on the Syntakt. And we went over we made a couple patches, right? We made our cool chord patch. We got this crazy patch with this layered stereo thing on top of it to fill it out. And then
Well, we didn't talk about this one, but I've been using the Swarm Synth as my like main oscillator and just shaping the Swarm Synth a lot on the Syntakt. It's actually been kind of my go-to sound engine. I just think makes sounds that I like a lot. But this chord, where's the chord that we made? Oh, it's in this patch. Yeah. Remember this. Use your trig mode with ramps, and remember to turn off your LFO trig on steps that you want the ramp to continue. This is like probably the coolest thing I could. Maybe I'll dedicate an entire video to just talking about trigs and LFO ramps, because they're so important to your music production, especially on the Syntakt. But all the stuff that I'm doing on here are all ideas I've taken from working in Bitwig and Ableton. I'm just taking these ramps. If there was a long timeline, you would see automation that just goes, you know, up like this and cut. Oh, let's do it over here so you can see it. It would go up like this and cut down, up like this and cut down, like making these long saw type shapes where the modulation is just going up in a linear fashion. You can do that on here, and I feel like a lot of people are missing that in their music on the Elektron devices. They're not aware that you're able to do that exact same formula that we do in Ableton on the Syntakt and the Digitact and the Digatone and the Analog 4 and the Analog Rhythm. We can do that stuff, and the model samples and model cycles. We can actually create those ramps that skip over the other steps so they don't get re-triggered and they stay in sync with the music. And I think that's probably one of the most profound tips I could leave folks with today is play with your ramps and your LFO triggers. Any step, this is going to be the start of the ramp. These steps are all going to ignore the ramp and just be ramped. They're not going to be reset by the phase. I think this is going to take you a long way in your sound design, especially in your patterns, not just like the synth design, not this. I mean, it is this, but on the baked into your pattern, you can retrig that based on like when the kicks hit or whatever, right? This is being retrigged every quarter note. They're not called trigless trigs. Trigless trigs are on the Octatrack. A trigless trig is this. That's a trigless trig. This is just a trig lock where you can just lock in values. Holding down the step and hitting no creates a trigless trig. And what a trigless trig does is that it will reset. And we do have the option to, I guess they are kind of the same. All right, forgive me. They're similar, but they're not called trigless trigs on here. They're called trigless trigs like in the manual of the Octatrack. And what it does is it will reset the LFO phase, the amplitude phase, the envelope phase for your amplitude envelope, and your filter envelope on these triggers without re-triggering the sample. That's the special power of a trigless trig, is that it's not going to reset the sample back to the beginning. Because every time you have a red trigger, that's going to reset the sample to start from the beginning or whatever position you have locked in on the trigger. With these green triggers, when you put one down, hold function, place one, hold it down, and hit no, you're going to place down a trigger that will trigger all those other operations that a red trigger would do, ignoring resetting of the samples. Which is cool. And a good example of this is actually in the last pattern of the other song that I wrote. So we could actually check that out real quick before. This is song 1 of the show. It goes into this. And then it modulates up a fifth. I'd build up to this, and then it goes into this break. And the break builds. These are trigless trigs causing this to happen on the Octatrack. You can see it ducking. Here we go. Missed the kick. Yeah. Yes. What's my recorder doing? Stop it. I think this pattern should start with like, with a lot of this stuff muted. God damn it. Oh my god. Get out of this menu. I think we got really far today. I'm really happy. I'm very pleased with this. Some good work got done. I have a long ways to go. I want to get like 5. I think I want to finish like 5 songs that are as elaborate as this one. Like this song sounds simple, but it took a long time to write this one. Actually sounds better. I do know that I love disco. I do love disco. I do. And I did know because it's awesome. I love dancing. I love dancing and I love dancing to disco. I'm so glad you're here, Ray. So, hey, I gotta defend my love for disco. Just because you know me better than most people in this chat. Dance if you have any insider information on whether or not Polygon Tracker Mini Plus is coming out. What do you mean? Oh, Polygon Tracker Mini Plus? No, definitely not. Polygon Tracker Mini is Polygon Tracker Plus. That is what it is. I do anticipate that there will be another firmware that adds some really cool functionality. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I do know that when it does happen, that everyone's going to be pretty stoked about it. You just had a tangentially relevant epiphany? Good. Does it have does the Polygon Tracker? No, it doesn't have synthesis like the M8. Not currently. I don't think that that's out of the realm. Like, that's in the Polygon Play Plus. And to be honest, the Polygon Play Plus's synthesizer engine is pretty sick. It's actually really good. It sounds really good. I'm very impressed with it. I like the Polygon Play Plus. I said this a few times. I think it's one of my favorite newer groove boxes to come out. Hot take. I'm seeing a lot of people like the Deluge firmware update that's coming out, talking about, you know, boxes that have lots of grids and lights and colors and stuff. The Deluge firmware update has gotten so much attention, and I definitely have a little bit of FOMO because I had a Deluge for a long time and it was my absolute favorite. But I had a hard time enjoying the synth engine and the sampling, the sound of the samples. I didn't like the way the Deluge sounded. Just put it that way. I hate even saying that on stream right now because I love Rohan. And damn, I'm forgetting the other guy's name, but Rohan, the guy who did the firmware. Anyway, I love that machine, and I would love for them to make a Deluge Plus or Deluge 2 that has more robust synth engine and sampling capability. I'm surprised it's done as much as it's done for as long as it has on the same CPU. It blows my mind. But I'm seeing that all the time. I'm seeing a lot of people using it. I need someone to bring it to me. Bring me one. Bring one to a Modbang show. Somebody bring me a Deluge with the newest firmware on it and some headphones so that I can hear how the new firmware sounds. I want to know. I can't buy one. I'm not going to buy one. I'm spending $1,000, $1,200 on the Deluge just because of new firmware. It's not happening. But I would possibly trade some gear for one if it's really as dope as everybody's making it out to be. But I need to hear it first because the demos don't do it justice. Like, I don't trust YouTube demos to like just be the end all be all of like, oh, it sounds amazing. There's mastering that happens before a YouTube video. This right here, this is happening live. So if this sounds okay to you, that's really how these machines sound. But like a YouTube video, I know that people are throwing Ozone 11 auto mastering on there. I want to hear it. I want to hear it myself. Yeah, Deluge is great. I do think it's great. I think the sampling on it is cool too, because like the visualization of the waveform, like I like how things look on it, and the OLED screen really upgraded it quite a bit. I'm just really hesitant about it because for the sound engine. I want to have really good sound. I feel like the Elektron boxes give me that sound, so I'm really hesitant to like pull away from it. I did get my push 3 back from repair, like just talking news. Oh, and I do want to mention, because we're already at 2.5 hours. We're like way past my stream time. I'm usually done by now. So before the stream ends, I got my push 3 back. It's working again. It was total pain in the ass to upgrade the firmware. Once again, still mad at push 3, but it sounds amazing. That's the update for push 3. But I am doing this. Check this out. Hey, look, it's me. Elektron Octatrack workshop this Saturday in person. We're the same person. That's me. And this is me. That's me and this is me. And I'm going to be at Patchwerks this Saturday at 3 p.m. It's $25 for a 90-minute workshop. It's really cheap, considering that it's usually $75-ish to do an hour-long workshop with me. But, well, that's what I charge for online lessons. But, yeah. Workshop at Patchwerks. All the money goes to Patchwerks. I'm not keeping a single dime of the money. So I get no monies. I'm going to do an hour and a half long workshop with the Octatrack. We're going to talk about, I'm going to go over the whole Oct. I'm going to do like pretty much a tutorial on the Octatrack, and then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and different ways that you can use it and some clever ways for chopping up samples and all that stuff, all within as much as I can cram into an hour and a half as possible. Which should be quite a bit. I can cram quite a bit into an hour and a half. So come on down to Patchwerks, get your tickets at Eventbrite, and just look up Elektron Octatrack Workshop. I can't give you a link right here. Maybe somebody could throw a link in the chat. But this would be great if you came down. $25, hour and a half long. Bring your Octatrack, sit at the table, have a good time. I'm excited about it. I hope you are too. Let's raise some money, give it to Patchwerks, and help Patchwerks, because Patchwerks needs some help. We don't want to lose our only synthesizer shop in Seattle, right? So you can do your part and learn something about the Octatrack too. Not that you need to do your part. You do whatever you want. But if you want to help out Patchwerks, that's cool by me. Because that's what I'm doing. All right. Thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring the stream once again. You're super cool. Everyone else who's here on the stream, thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this music production video thing. I wanted to go over more synthesis on the Syntakt, but I got really into the music writing, and I think that's the most important thing ever, is actually writing some music. And this is that time for me to write music, is when I'm on stream. So I'm now going to go like eat some lunch, walk the dog, do some of that stuff. And I look forward to seeing you at the Elektron Octatrack workshop this Saturday at 3 o'clock at Patchwerks in Seattle on Stone Way. My name's Matthew, aka EZBOT. If you'd like to support this channel, you can just give a thumbs up to the stream or leave a nice comment in the chat. If you want to go a little bit further, patreon.com/EZBOT is where you can join my Patreon. I don't even know what I was going to say after that. It's where you can join my Patreon. It is where you can get the Octatrack templates and all that kind of stuff that I do with the Octatrack. So if you want to get your hands on my performance templates, patreon.com/EZBOT. Working on a sound pack for the Syntakt. That'll also be on patreon.com/EZBOT. If you would like to just get the templates and have nothing to do with Patreon because you don't like subscriptions, I don't blame you. That's fair enough. You can visit coffee.com/EZBOT and you can pick up my Octatrack templates and turn your Octatrack into a performance box like I was doing during the stream. I'm going to say it again like I did the last 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll stream again this Friday. I said that the last 2 times and I didn't stream on Friday. I don't know what came up. Life came up, but I'm going to try and stream Friday. We'll see what happens. You're all wonderful. Thank you so much. See you at least by next Tuesday. Blessings.